Good evening, everyone. My name is Denise. I'm the Adult Programming and Community Partnership Manager for the Gwinnett Library System. And delighted to host Dale Caldwell this evening and to have you with us. He will share his 7-step strategy to help you become a savvy consumer. This is his debut book. It's called Don't Get Scammed, Get Smart. And I know you already know all about him because he is a local celebrity. So we're going to begin, though, with a brief introduction.
I was raised to believe people should treat each other right, but a lot of the times they don't. Why won't you take care of your customer?
What part of your job's done didn't you understand?
Well, see, because you don't tell me my job's done.
You're not a real taxi. Can you tell us who you're with?
They'll lie, cheat, and steal from you. Sir, we'd like to talk to you about possible prosecution for selling a stolen car. They think nobody cares.
Okay, turn the camera off right now.
I care, and that's why I trust Dale investigates.
For more than 30 years, consumer investigator Dale Caldwell has made it his mission to protect consumers.
Do you train your locksmiths in the bait and switch method?
As a 6-time Emmy Award-winning investigative reporter at television stations across the nation, Dale built his career by exposing scams and holding powerful politicians accountable.
I'd say my biggest story came pretty early in my career.
Good evening. They were on the final leg of a flight home for the holidays, 250 American soldiers and a crew of 8 when their plane went down outside of Gander, Newfoundland.
My investigation about that crash aired on every major network.
18-year-old Tracy Walker, who was to marry 22-year-old Specialist 4th Class Jeffrey Scott Key, says he told her and her family repeatedly that he and his friends felt the Army chartered transportation was unsafe.
The plane gets back all right, but then the plane we fly on is really bad. Not too good, you know, but we'll walk the sand and get us back.
More and more questions are being asked about the military's use of chartered aircraft following the tragic accident in Newfoundland that claimed 256 lives.
My story prompted Congress to not only suspend the use of charters, but to change the law so that going forward, our military would be transported with only the highest possible safety standards.
But Dale realized that no matter how many truths he uncovered and bad guys he busted, consumers were making the same mistakes over and over when it came to difficult buying decisions. That was the beginning of Trust Dale.
I'm really committed to building a community where consumers get great products at fair prices and companies get to sell great products and services at a fair profit.
Dale created a transparent 7-point investigative process to not only eliminate bad companies, but help consumers confirm that they are making smart buying decisions.
What do we have?
Dale and his consumer investigative team stridently vet and review businesses according to reputation, price, quality, and customer service. After identifying and certifying top performers, Dale backs their performance with the best guarantee on the planet, the $10,000 Make It Right guarantee.
It's really simple. The companies I work with are so confident in their ability to deliver excellence and take care of their customer that they're willing to put me in charge of creating a resolution in the rare event something goes wrong.
That degree of third-party oversight sets Trust Dale companies apart, and consumers recognize that.
Having Trust Dale out there watching out for consumers and working with the companies and the consumers, it really helps everybody feel like they're on the same team. Wouldn't ever use a non-Trust Dale certified company ever again.
From now on, I will always use a Trust Dale company because I absolutely trust Dale.
Using common sense reminders, Dale has empowered consumers to get the honest service they deserve while giving value-driven companies a community to serve. It's a community called Trust Dale.
Help me welcome Dale.
Thank you, Denise. It's a real pleasure being with you tonight. I'd like to start our talk with a cautionary tale about a lady named Marjorie Tompkins. Marjorie's a real person. She was 83 years old and she lived in East Point. One day, Marjorie got a knock on her door. Being from the generation that thinks it's rude not to answer your door, she opened it and there was a man standing in front of her. He was wearing work clothes and had a toolkit with him. And he said, "Ma'am, I am a handyman that works in your neighborhood. I noticed that your gutters are full of leaves and you've got some rotted wood above your front door. for a reasonable price, I'll work here today and I'll fix this. And he quoted her the price. She thought it was reasonable, and he got started. A little bit later that afternoon, he had finished the job, she inspected it, and she paid him, wrote him a check for $80, and he was on his way. End of story? Not quite. 2 weeks go by, Marjorie gets another knock on her door. She opens her door, and there's a young man and a young woman standing in front of her. And they're wearing Home Depot aprons. And the young man says, "Ms. Tompkins?" And she says, "Yes." He said, "We're from the store, and we're here to speak to you about your bill." And she said, "I'm sorry, my bill?" And the young lady said, "Yes, Ms. Tompkins, your handyman came to the store a couple of weeks ago and opened a line of credit with your checking account, and the balance has not been paid." And she said, "Oh my goodness, how much do I owe?" The young lady says, $183,000. True story. $183,000. Ms. Tompkins nearly fell out. And the young lady said, "I know that this is embarrassing, but we can handle it without involving the authorities. In fact, you don't even have to tell your kids. If you would, just get your pocketbook and let's go down to the bank and we can settle this debt privately." That's exactly what Ms. Tompkins did. She grabbed her purse, she got in the car with the two young people, they rode to her bank, she got out, she went in, and she withdrew all but $2,000 of her life savings. This is a true story. And I know so because the East Point police called me after it happened and said, "We've got a real problem here in South Fulton County. We've had more than a dozen seniors ripped off by a band of thieves who are perpetrating this scheme, but we've got a break." The young lady went into the bank with Ms. Tompkins, and the surveillance camera captured her picture. So they sent the picture to me, we aired it on Channel 2, and they caught the bandits. That's the good news. The bad news is that hundreds of thousands of dollars had been stolen and never recovered. That's when I realized there's no such thing as consumer police. Here in the United States, if you were born and raised here and lucky enough to live here, we have this deep feeling that there's someone that has our back in the event someone takes advantage of us, that there's a consumer police. I'm here to tell you tonight, there's no such thing as consumer police. I dedicated my career to helping people in this predicament. In fact, that's why I created Trust Dale. There's two things we do on the Trust Dale platform. I want to connect consumers with good, honest companies. But I work every day to expose dishonest companies that I can prove are intentionally harming consumers. That's what we do at Trust Dale. How many of you guys are familiar with the shell game? Have you ever heard of it? Con men know how to play the shell game. In fact, every time they take advantage of you, the point is to get it over on you and to show you something that you are not expecting. And what is the point of the shell game? The point of the shell game is to never take your eye off the ball, right? So I'm going to metaphorically toss the ball on the screen and we're going to play the shell game. But first, I want to talk to you about what I call the rip-off range. The rip-off range is where I work every day. As a consumer investigator for 34 years, I discovered a truth. And the truth is that there are con artists that work every day in the rip-off range. They steal anywhere from $500 to $50,000 from people, and they get away with it. We lose billions of dollars every year in the economy to con artists who live in the rip-off range. How do you describe the rip-off range? Well, if someone comes to your home and they say that they can roof your house for half the price of a normal roof job, and you believe them, and you write them a check for a down payment of 1/3 of the cost, and then they never come back, you're a victim of the rip-off range. So what do you naturally do? You go to the authorities. You file a police report and you say, "I'm the victim of theft. This person saw me coming and he took my money and I want you to catch him and I want you to prosecute him." And then you realize there's no such thing as consumer police, because what do the police say? Well, do you know who it was? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. I think his name was Tom Johnson. Okay. Do you have a contract? Well, yeah, I think I signed a one-page work order, but I'm pretty sure it's not valid. Well, I'm sorry, but that's a civil dispute. you need to take that person to magistrate court. You need to take them to state court, superior court, sue them to recover your money. Here's what you don't realize until that happens. The con artists who are playing the game are so good at evading responsibility. A, you may never get them in court. Number two, if you do get them in court and you do win a judgment, good luck trying to collect that judgment because they are professionals at avoiding responsibility. So I'm here tonight to talk about how to avoid getting caught in the rip-off range and being caught by a person who professionally performs there, such like Angela Johnson. Angela Hodges, owner of Don's Tree Experts, appears to have built her tree-cutting business with this loophole in mind, manipulating homeowners into paying her up front for tree services she never intended to deliver.
You'll be looking at, for both of them, $6,000.
Wow.
The best price I can do, if you're ready to do it now, I probably can get it down to maybe about $55.
Angela Hodges talks a great game. As the owner of Don's Tree Experts, she'll take down your trees and cut you a break, as long as you pay her in advance.
So then she told me that she could do it at a reduced price if I gave her the money in cash and signed the contract at that moment.
It was a deal Deidre Stevens couldn't pass up.
It felt a little fishy, but I just trusted her and what she said at that time.
But trust is not Angela's strong suit. Once she gets the money, she leaves and in many cases doesn't come back.
I didn't know what to do or what to say.
When we told Deidre's story, our phones started ringing off the hook.
Angela, that is, Hodges. Angela had came.
Angela Hodges in person.
Don's Tree Experts.
Suddenly, 29 victims came out of the woodwork. Many had taken her to court. Turns out, Angela's an expert at working the system. We reviewed court records and found a total of 46 cases that involved hundreds of hearings. But after thousands of dollars in judgments levied against her, Angela's never paid her victims one dime.
She's a scammer. We didn't get our money. We need our money, and she need to go to jail.
So we made it our business to hold Angela accountable. Hi, Ms. Hodges. I'm consumer investigator Dale Caldwell. How are you? Angela didn't like it one bit.
Okay, I told you I do not conform, I do not consent to you recording me to do anything.
How does it feel to be held accountable for this after you've taken all of this money from these people?
As I stated, I do not consent to being recorded.
Here's the problem. Magistrate or small claims court might be the place you win a judgment, but it stinks at helping victims recover their money. And Angela Hodges has figured that out. So, what happens to Angela Hodges? Two things. We were able to demonstrate that she was operating in a pattern. She would rip people off in Stone Mountain, then she would rip people off in Lithonia, then she would rip people off in Decatur. And she was playing the system because she knew that those local police departments didn't communicate. So as long as she hopped around, she could evade responsibility. But then number two, her big mistake was she would sign a contract, but she would never deliver the service. So that showed intent to not deliver. So we took it to the district attorney and we showed the DA those two patterns. There's a pattern of hopping around jurisdictions and there's an intent not to deliver the service. It's called theft by taking. Today, Angela Hodges is facing 5 counts of theft by taking, and she's going to stand trial in 2020 and be held accountable for the 46 families that she ripped off while she operated in the rip-off range. So, I can stand here and I can tell you retrospectively how to protect yourself. I can say, this is what happened to Ms. Tompkins. We feel sorry for Ms. Tompkins. Don't let it happen to you. But I decided I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to create a book. I wanted to create a handbook that proactively could arm you and protect you from things like this happening to you. I call it Don't Get Scammed, Get Smart, 7 simple steps to becoming a savvy consumer. How do you become a savvy consumer? Well, just like a game that the con artist knows how to play, I want to prepare you to play defense and to play offense so that you'll be ready in the event something like this happens to you. First of all, I want to talk about playing defense, because playing defense is the way you prevent getting scored on. You don't let a con artist score on you. The way I describe that, I call it the 3 F's. The 3 F's are fast funds found. We're going to have some acronyms here, and I want you to remember these because in my book, I could describe 150 of the most common scams you might encounter. But you know what? The scam artists morph those scams. They change them slightly so that you're not expecting what they're going to do. So what I'd rather do is I'd rather arm you with the 7 words to keep in your mind the emotional cues to know that someone's trying to take advantage of you. The first letter is F. It represents fast. The person that wants to rip you off wants your money right now. They don't want to give you the opportunity to talk to your spouse. They don't want you to call your brother-in-law. They don't want you to go home and think about it. They want you to write the check or hand over the cash right now. If a person is willing or not willing to let you think about it overnight or to consult somebody you trust, red flag. Don't do it. That's a person that is out to take your money. Here's a classic example. Truck pulls up in front of your house. Man knocks on your door. He says, "Ma'am, I am a cement dealer and I've got a load of cement in my truck. It's going to set up before I get back to the plant. I'm willing to write you a deal that's going to charge you 1/3 of what it would normally cost to replace your driveway." And he may show you a document. You may see something over his shoulder, and it's a contract, and you see a street address that's 2 streets over, and you see that the price was triple the price he quoted you. It's not real, but he's making you believe that it's something that's too good to be true. Guess what? It is too good to be true. Don't fall for fast. The second letter is funds. When someone is trying to rip you off, the amount they want from you as an investment is unusually small compared to the amount of money they're promising in return. Again, it's too good to be true. This is Kathy Serco. Kathy Serco didn't play good defense. She wanted a sunroom attached to the back of her home. So she called 2 companies. They came out. They gave her estimates. Both estimates came in at around $20,000. Kathy thought it was too expensive. So she decided to go down to the hardware store and price the items herself. As she was walking around, a man came up behind her. His name was Walter Davis, and he said, "I couldn't help but overhear what you were doing. I'm a contractor. This is what I do for a living. I can come over this afternoon, quote you a price, and I think you'll be quite pleased." Kathy was quite pleased until this happened. I'm consumer investigator Dale Caldwell, and this could happen to you. We're here about Kathy Serk and the $8,000 you owe her. Can you tell us why you still have her money? Not only did he take her money, he never delivered on her services.
He came to the house, he made a drawing of what I wanted done. We talked about it, he gave me a price. I thought about it for a couple days and then I told him yes. He worked probably a day and a half and he put up the framework and I haven't seen him since.
One of our Trustdale producers called the contractor posing as a prospective client, and the contractor was eager to meet up.
Hey, this is Dylan. I saw that you build screen porches.
How are you, sir? Good. Nice to meet you.
Okay, let's go. You ready? Consumer investigator Dale Caldwell, how are you, sir?
Have a great day.
We're here about Kathy Serk and the $8,000 you owe her. Can you tell us why you still have her money?
I filed bankruptcy.
Well, but you're here to solicit new business. You're here to get money from our people. Are you ever going to pay her back? After our confrontation, the contractor called Kathy and agreed to pay her back. Why did Walter Davis agree to pay Kathy back? Because again, we took this case to the Stevens County District Attorney. We showed him that he had intended to defraud Kathy Serco. So the DA charged Walter Davis, and the DA gave Davis an option. You can spend the next 10 years in jail, or you can pay Kathy Serco back. As of tonight, he's paying Kathy Serco back every month. The last letter of fast funds found represents the word found. The person that's trying to rip you off is intentionally going to great lengths to never be found once they have your money. And the key way that they do this is they hand you a business card that apparently has a street address. And you believe that this person is legitimate until you find out that that street address goes back to a UPS office, or it goes back to a mailboxes, etc. You pull into the driveway and you say, oh my gosh, and you have that sinking feeling because that's not a place of business. And then you go in and you talk to the proprietor of the UPS store and he won't tell you who owns the post office box. And you realize you've been had. I want to teach you how to not let that happen to you. First of all, if you're considering doing business with someone and the price is an amount of money that you can't risk losing, I want you to sit down at your computer, put in the address that they give you, and see if it matches the name of the company. If it does, that's a good sign. But I want you to go one step further. I want you to go to Google Earth, and I want you to pull up the street view, and I want you to eyeball that office. I want you to see if the name of the company is on the side of the building, or if the name of the company or the logo is on the door. If it's not, folks, that's a red flag. So then, if you don't find that, I want you to get in your car and I want you to drive to that office. That may sound excessive, but which had you rather have, a 30-minute to a 1-hour round trip to know for certain that that person is legitimate, or would you rather just go ahead and risk $10,000, $20,000? I think I know what you'd rather do, right? You want to be certain that that person is legitimate and has a place of business for two reasons. If there's a dispute, you want to know how to find them other than just making a phone call. And in the event you have to sue them, you have to know where you can serve them. Fast funds found. Play defense. Be smart. Keep those 3 letters in your head. This happens when you are not expecting an unsolicited offer. It's when you are playing defense. Be prepared. But also, I want to teach you how to play good offense because that's how you score. That's how you make a smart decision when it's time to get a roof for your home, to hire a plumber, to buy a car, to do something that you proactively want for yourself and your family. And I call this DEAL, get a good deal. How do you do that? The first thing I want you to do is define the elements of a good deal. What are the elements of a good deal? It's product, offer, and price. First of all, I want you to examine and explore what it is you want from that product or service. If it's a car, I want you to test drive it. I'd rather you borrow it from a friend, ride around and see what it does. If it's a vacuum cleaner, use a friend's, see what it does. If it's an insurance policy, explore what it delivers because I want you to be thoroughly familiar with what that product does and what you need it to do before you take the second step. When you're very familiar with what you need, I want you to solicit offers. This is the easy part. There are lots of people that want to sell you that product or service. But before you know how to pay for that product, I want you to know what it is it does because there are a lot of whistles and bells that you don't need. You can have a Mercedes or you can have a Toyota. Some people are perfectly fine with a Toyota and the price line that comes with it. Some people want a Mercedes and they want all those whistles and bells. But the way to know that you're getting treated fairly and you arrive at a great deal is that you compare product and offer. I want you to get at least 3 offers in writing and get a copy of the contract that you're asked to sign. Why? Because in our economy, a magical thing happens when you get people to compete. And that magical thing is that capitalism drives people to a fair price. When you have 3 written estimates, and I encourage you get 4 or 5, you're going to find that you're driven toward a fair price. That's how you know that you're getting treated fairly. A lot of people ask me, what about sales, Dale? What about sales? Sales exist in 2 ways. They're real and they're illegitimate. A real sale is that when you can define what the diminished value of the product is for the person that's selling it. If it's a patio set and it's late fall, you know that that person's not going to be able to sell that patio set at a high price as if it was in the middle of the summer. So you've got to decide if you're willing to wait to use it until the spring, and that's why you're getting a better price, because there's diminished value present. That's legitimate. When is a sale not a sale? A sale is not a sale when you are unable to define the original price of the product. Jewelry is a great example. It's very difficult to know what a diamond ring or a gold bracelet cost originally. So it's really easy for a vendor to claim that they're charging 50% off. You cannot define the original price of that product. Be careful. If you can define what the diminished value is and why, that's when a sale is safe. The next letter of DEAL, deal, is insure. I want you to insure the elements of a good deal. What are they? I want you to make certain that you're getting an ethical negotiation, an equitable contract, and an effective guarantee. What is an ethical negotiation? It's a relationship where you're not being rushed, where someone is sitting down with you and they're going to take all the time in the world to make you feel comfortable with the components that they're offering you that involve the product. They're going to not rush you. Number two, verbal promises will be converted to written promises. If they're not willing to put what they say in writing, red flag, don't do the deal. And finally, the third leg of an ethical negotiation, no surprises. If you're at the car dealer and you've arrived at a fair price, or at least you feel it's a fair price, and then suddenly they want to add a document fee. And that document fee is $800. And it comes in at the last second, red flag, get up, don't do the deal, because they're playing a game. They know the rules of the game. You don't. They're about to take you. Don't settle for an unethical negotiation. What's an equitable contract? An equitable contract is a contract you understand. And I have some simple guidelines to know when and when not to sign a contract. If the price involved is $100 to $500 and the pages count are 1, 2, 3, most of us as adults have enough life experience to make a smart judgment when we're risking $100 to $500. If we can read the contract, it's only a couple of pages, I trust my judgment to make that deal. But what if it's $5,000? What if it's $10,000? And what if the contract is 5 pages? What if it's 10 pages? And what if there's language that I simply don't understand what it means? There's two things that I want you to do. I want you to phone a friend. Don't sign the contract at the time it's presented. Never sign a contract the same day you see it. I want you to contact somebody that you trust, preferably somebody that's in that business, in that industry. And I want you to say, hey, Billy, do you mind reading this and telling me what I don't see, what I might not be familiar with? All of us have acquaintances. We have friends, people we go to church with, people we went to school with that are in those industries and would be happy to help you out and save you from making a mistake. The other thing I want you to do is to show it to a competitor. Show that offer to someone that's in the industry, someone that would like to sell you the same product. Because you know what you're going to do? You're going to create competition. And they're going to show you, you better believe they're going to show you the deficiencies in a competitor's contract. That's called competition. It's a smart thing to do. Thirdly, if it's $10,000, if it's $50,000, if it's $500,000, I don't trust my judgment on a 10 to 20 page contract. But you know who I do trust? I trust an attorney. And I'm not going to put an attorney on retainer. I'm going to hire an attorney for 1 hour or for 2 hours at most, and I'm going to ask them to read the contract and tell me what it is that I don't see and put it in writing so that I feel very, very comfortable that I am making a smart deal. That's going to cost you $200, sometimes $400. But if you're risking $150,000, $200,000, isn't it worth $200 or $400 to have the peace of mind to know that you're getting an effective guarantee? I want you to meet someone. Her name is Natasha, and she did not do any of the three, and I want to show you what happened to her. I'm consumer investigator Dale Caldwell, and this could happen to you. Hi there. I'm Dale Caldwell with Dale Investigates. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good to see you. This is Natasha Pearson. We're here to see if we can collect her free car. It's a car title Natasha says she earned.
They advertise, send 4 referrals in, and you get your title. We sign your title over free and clear.
She did better than that. She sent at least 7 friends to this used car dealership. In return for the referrals, the dealership promised to pay off her car loan.
I want to do my job, which was refer the people. I did that. And I just want the compensation. I want what you advertise. You advertise a free car, and I want mine.
The advertising campaign to get your car title is very simple. According to their own salesman, Get $250 cash for each referral, and on the fourth one, you get your own car paid off. She has proof of her referrals, including thank you notes from the dealership. So why hasn't the dealership lived up to its end of the deal? Turns out they had another set of rules, but because they never made those rules public, guess who wins? Yay! Congratulations!
Thank you so much. Thanks to you guys, your team of people, because it definitely, absolutely took a team.
Title in hand, Natasha has some good advice for businesses.
I just want to say to people out there with businesses, if you're going to advertise it, just stand up to it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Natasha was a smart lady because she did two things. She contacted Trust Dale and she filed a complaint with the Georgia Automobile Dealers Board, right? So there was a valid complaint filed with the state. We called the state and said, what are you going to do about this? The state put pressure on the car dealership and Natasha got her money back. She got the title to her car. Folks, doesn't happen very often. There's no such thing as consumer police. The next letter of DEAL is to authenticate. I want you to authenticate that you're getting a great deal. How do you do that? By comparing references, reviews, and reports. References. We've all heard that you should get references before you hire a company. How many references should you get? Anybody?
3.
Everybody says 3, right? Yeah. I'm going to suggest that you get 20.
Oh.
Why 20? Because any bad company can come up with 3 ringers that'll tell you that somebody's good. Their brother-in-law, a co-conspirator. Here's the reason I want you to get 20. Because Pro Painting and Remodeling in Renato has 20 families that love him. Someone that's done a great job, and they're happy to tell you. If a company's been around a while and they are performing great work, you better believe they've got 20 success stories. They better have 40. They better have 50. 20 is reasonable. But here's the deal. You get that list of 20 families with their phone number and their email address, you choose the 3 you want to contact. You don't have to contact 20. Just choose 3. But I guarantee you, you're going to arrive at a much better perspective of how they do the job, and it's going to give you a lot more peace of mind when you're making that tough buying decision. Reviews. Do you know that looking at online reviews is now the #2 way that people make buying decisions, right behind word of mouth? Did you know a recent study shows that 60 to 65% of the reviews that you see on Amazon are fake? They're either created by the company that you're looking at, or the company pays someone to write a review that's not real. So how do you identify these fake reviews? Well, take a look at the crazy glowing reviews, and then you're going to see that they're on multiple platforms. Well, if we're happy, we're going to write a positive review, but are we going to go to the trouble of writing the same positive review on 7 websites? No. That's a red flag. Look for misspellings in reviews, because companies hire other people to write reviews, and these people are often outside the United States, and their English skills are not great, and they misspell the reviews. But here's the way I want you to feel comfortable about knowing that you can act on a good review. First of all, you want that company to have a preponderance of positive reviews. You want 80% positive reviews. You want them to at least have a B. Or, you want them to have 4 out of 5 stars. But I want you to take a look at the 2 stars. I want you to concentrate on the negative reviews. And here's what I want you to look for. I want you to look for patterns, okay? Because I want you to see if there is a theme in what the company's not doing. This company never shows up on time. This company doesn't finish what it starts. Worst of all, this company charged me, quoted a price, and then charged me much more for the finished product. Those are the reviews you need to look for. When you find a company that has 80 to 85% positive reviews and you find no patterns in the negative comments, then you've gone a long way to make certain that the company is a company you can trust. The final R represents reports. In 34 years of consumer protection, I've learned one thing. People, when they're mad and angry, they want to tell somebody. And they often tell the Governor's Office of Consumer Affairs or they write a letter or an email to the Federal Trade Commission. The problem is, both of those organizations, their databases are not easy to search. So it's hard to see who's been flagged. But you know what? There's a database out there. There's a report that exists that's pretty easy to search. It's called the Better Business Bureau. Now, I'm not going to recommend the BBB as a place that you find someone to hire. In fact, the BBB will tell you, we're not in the business of recommending companies. What we're in the business of doing is to allow people to say what their experience was with a company they hired. I want you to take a look to see if that company has a C, a D, or an F. If the company has a B or an A, you're in safe territory. If it has a C, D, or an F, there's two problems going on. Number one is that the company has failed to answer a negative review. A lot of companies that are not members of the BBB say, it's not my point, I'm not going to answer that review. That's a mistake, and that's a red flag for you because it says they're not taking care of that customer. Number two, they may have dozens of negative reviews that land them with an F. That's a great indicator of a company you should not hire. References, reviews, and reports. The next letter in getting a good deal is legitimize. How do you legitimize your deal? Again, 3 words. Licensed, liability insured, and lawsuit background searched. Let's start with licensed. And it's not the $50 or the $150 that you pay to get your occupational tax certificate. It's the fact that you have to tell a government authority, A, who you are, and B, where you operate. Those two things are the primary reason that you want a company to have a business license. Because remember, a company that can't be found and doesn't want to be found is not going to have a business license. So I want you to ask the company for a copy of its business license. And if you want to be doubly sure, you can call the county or the city where they operate, and you can ask the clerk, does this company have an active business license? And is it current? The next thing I want you to do is check to see if the company has a professional license. This is what an occupational tax certificate looks like, and every company has one if it's legitimate. I have one. So the next thing I want you to do is to Google whether or not the industry is required to have a professional license in Georgia or wherever the state is that you're doing business. Here's what will pop up if you Google to see if a heating and air technician has to have a license. The answer is yes. The license is issued by the Georgia Board of Conditioned Air Contractors. And who is the repository of that information? The Georgia Secretary of State's office. You go to the Georgia Secretary of State's office and you can search to see if that company actually has a license. Better yet, they list disciplinary actions if there have been disciplinary actions against that company. That's how you make certain, A, does this company need a professional license like heating and air, electric, or plumbing? And B, have they ever been disciplined? It's a great place to look. The next thing I want you to do is to make certain that the company has liability insurance. In other words, responsibility insurance. If that company sends a person to your home, they get on your roof, and they fall off, and they don't have liability insurance, guess who's responsible for the medical bills? The homeowner. It's crazy, but that's the way it works. So when a company is wanting to do business with you, if their technician, if their salesperson is well trained, they're going to have a copy of the company's liability insurance certificate. I want you to look for 2 things. I want you to look for the name of the underwriter, and I want you to take a look at the expiration date of the certificate. Again, a good company should have this with them. If they don't, ask for a copy of it. Don't sign a contract, don't do business until you're certain that the company carries liability insurance. You can also call the underwriter, tell them the name of the company, tell them that the company claims that they are insured by this underwriter, and that underwriter will tell you whether they are or they are not. And they will tell you whether their certificate is current or if it's not current. The next thing I want you to do is do a simple lawsuit search. This is the number 2 way to make absolutely certain that you're protected in a transaction, right behind making certain that they have a findable office. And it's easy. I want you to go to the online justice system of your county or the county where the company is headquartered. This is Gwinnett County. That's the Clerk of Court's website. You see under case search, I've pulled up Odyssey portal, Recorder's Court cases. You go do a case search, you click on, in this case, Tyler Odyssey portal, and it's going to bring you a search box. You put in the name of the owner of the company that wants to do business with you. You can also put in the name of the company. You hit return, and I want you to see if that company is sued consistently and successfully in court. Now, it's not unusual to see a company in court because often they may be the plaintiff. They may be trying to get somebody to pay them. They may be trying to get a contractor to pay them for materials. I want you to see if they are being sued successfully and consistently as a defendant. If you see that that company loses more than 2 suits in 3 to 5 years, it's a red flag for 2 reasons. Number one, most companies, the fear of life is to lose a suit in small claims court because it's permanent record, right? Number 2 is it shows perhaps they're not worried about taking care of a consumer. That's the number one thing you're looking for. Do they care about how I feel about the transaction? I want you to also consider getting a background check of the people that are going to be on your premises. Now, here's my rule of thumb. If I'm hiring a company and they're going to send folks out to my business or to my home, but they're going to be outside the premises, not that worried about it. I want everybody to have a good shot at life. I want people to earn a living. That's not my threshold for concern. What is my threshold for concern? It's when they're going to be inside my business, when they're going to be inside my home, around my wife and my kids. So I want to ask that company 2 things. Do you perform background checks? If they say, yes, we do, I want you to say, what are you looking for? If they're confused, if they don't know how to answer that, that's a red flag. Because here are the 2 things they should be looking for: theft convictions and violent crime convictions. That's what they should be looking for in the event they are not hiring somebody because of those problems. If they're confused, if they don't know, if they can't tell you what they're looking for, red flag, be careful. I want to tell you a cautionary tale about Tom and Debbie Jankowski. They got in touch with me a while back. They had recently moved from Buckhead to Marietta, and they hired a moving crew, and they got a great deal. But just like a lot of folks, they put off moving, they put off doing the things they needed to do, and they went to the foreman of the moving crew and they said, we've left some things in the bathroom of our master bedroom suite. We shut the door, just simply please don't go in there and everything will be fine. Well, guess what? They complete the move to Marietta, they go back to Buckhead the next day, they go into the bedroom and they see that the door is ajar and their valuables are gone. $20,000 worth of heirloom jewelry missing. The Jankowskis panicked. They called the moving company and they said, we've got a real problem. We've had theft and we need you to look into it. The moving company said, no, not our problem. All of our guys are background checked. I trust my crews. You must have lost it. That's what they said. So the Jankowskis did 2 really smart things. They filed a police report and they called Trust Dale. We got on it. I got a copy of the police report, and there were the names of the people that were on the crew. I cross-referenced the names of the people on the crew with the Georgia Department of Corrections database. And guess what I found out? The foreman of the crew is named John Johnson, and this is his rap sheet. John Johnson has been in and outside of the Georgia Penitentiary for 20 years with convictions of theft by taking, aggravated battery, possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. Bad guy, right? So I called the moving company and I said, you guys claim that you background checked. How did John Johnson get a job with you? Guess what? Click. They hung up on me. In the Jankowskis case, they caught a break. The day after we started looking into it, a car pulls up in front of the moving company, a kid runs in, throws an envelope on the table, takes off, car peels out. Guess what's inside the envelope? $20,000 worth of heirloom jewelry. The Jankowskis got their money back, but I wasn't satisfied. So I went to the moving company with my camera crew, and we walked into the office and I found the owner and I stuck a microphone in his face and I said, I'm confused. Your website and your people claim that you background check. How did John Johnson get a job here? And you know what he said? True story. He said, I said I background check. I didn't say I background decline. That's how I get a better price for my customers. I hire convicts. He told me this on camera. I was stunned, but it taught me such a valuable lesson. When you're looking for someone to come to your house, don't just find out whether they background check, find out if they background decline. 7 simple steps to becoming a savvy consumer. Fast funds found, define, insure, authenticate, legitimize. Now, I said earlier we were going to play the shell game. Everybody knows how to play the shell game, right? And the object of the game is to keep your eye on the ball. So, here we go. So, the shell game makes it really simple. How many think that the ball's under the cup on the right? No, it's not, is it? All right, here we go. How many of you guys watch the ball and you believe that it's under the cup in the middle? No? Okay, a lot of smart people. How many of you all believe that the ball is under the cup on the left? In fact, okay, would you bet $5 that's where it is?
No.
Okay, let's see. The ball is not under the cup. Where's the ball? The ball is in my coat pocket. The object of the game is to not take your eye off the ball. The con man got you to look up here because the power of suggestion is so strong. We are built to trust. We want to believe that people are treating us fairly. That's the reason all of us tonight can get taken, because you don't expect it. The con artist has the game. He knows the rules. You don't. That's how you keep from getting taken advantage of. And that's a little game I like to play to show that it can happen to anybody. The good news is we've done all the research for you at Trust Dale. Let's say you need a roofer, you need a plumber, you need a person to replace your windows. It's so simple. You just go to the search box, you put in what it is you need, and you hit return. You're going to get 3 to 5 choices. You're going to get good companies that have met my 7-point investigative standard. They have a findable office. They have liability insurance. They don't get sued in small claims court. But the beauty is you choose the company you're comfortable with. You click on it, you're going to find an example of a company. There's a 2-minute video that describes how they do business. You get to see the people that are behind the company. You get to feel what their business philosophy is. And here's the best part. You call them, they don't call you. How many of you guys have seen these other online referral sites where, well, okay, that looks good. The next thing you know, they want your cell phone number, they want your home address, they want to know how many people live in your house, they want your income range, they want you to describe the project, and before you know it, they have all of your personal information. Well, you know what? This is a data mining company masquerading as a home service aid. They are going to sell your information and your consumer behavior to the highest bidder. So we do not collect or require your personal information at Trust Dale. It's 100% safe. You call them or you send them an email. But here's the very best part. I am so certain that the companies that I work with are going to treat you fairly that I require them to sign a contract with me. It's called the $10,000 Make It Right Guarantee. Renato and Pro Painting and Remodeling is under contract with me in the event you hire them and you're not happy and you have not received the price, quality, or customer service that you were promised in your written agreement. I'm your guy. You let me know and we go to work immediately to resolve the situation. 99.9% of conflicts are resolved at that level because good, honest companies want more than anything to know that you're not happy because they want to fix it. Other online services don't provide this. And here's the thing, here's the beauty. If you're looking at a contract and you see the word guarantee, that's as far as most people go. Okay, I've got a guarantee. Until they read the guarantee and they find out what the provisions are. And they discover that it's not worth the paper it's written on. In that case, very often the company that you're doing business with is in charge of the guarantee in case you're not happy, or the industry governs the guarantee. In our situation, Trust Dale governs the guarantee. It's efficient, it's fair, and you'll love it. But again, if you want to do all this on your own, you don't necessarily want to use a website, this book, 150 pages, 7 simple steps to becoming a savvy consumer. I explain it. It's really simple. Give it as a gift. We have it here tonight. It's a great Christmas present. Now, thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Yes, ma'am.
I've got a question. Sometimes when I have had people come out to give an estimate that I have gotten, some referrals about, they will say, here's the deal, but you need to sign today, or you lose this discount.
Yes.
What?
I don't do it because that's an unnatural markup. They are prepared to sell you the product or service for the lower price. The higher price is not real. And so 9 times out of 10, that lower price is going to be available the next day. Never sign under pressure. If the company is demanding that you sign under pressure or you're going to lose that discount, I don't think that that's a fair way of doing business. Don't do it because as I've often said, if somebody's estimate is 50% lower than the market price, they're cutting corners somewhere. They are either not putting materials into your project or they don't have liability insurance. There's no such thing as a 50% discount unless, as I said, you can identify what the diminished value is. If you're willingly accepting seconds, if you're going to buy a car that's had been a demonstrator for 3 months and it's been driven around by a salesperson, then that's reasonable. But don't be pressured into buying something.
That lower price may also be higher than other estimates you're going to get.
You know, there's
still be exorbitant.
There's 2 ways that I've seen legitimate companies price their product. A lot of companies come in and their price is here, and then they start working their way down. You know, when you say, well, I don't need that component, I don't need that, that's too fancy for me, here's what I need. There are other companies that come in and their price is here. And then they'll say, but you know, you don't really want our base model because it's not going to meet your needs. And then the price is here, and then the price is here. That's why it's so important to get 3 estimates, because legitimate companies can come at pricing from 2 different angles. But when you get 3 estimates, 4 estimates, 5, a magical thing happens. You wind up in the middle ground. A note on guarantees. A family called me, this was about a year ago, and they said, we are in big trouble. We've had a termite bond with our pest control company for 30 years. We discovered termite damage under our kitchen floor. The technician came out and identified, yes, indeed, you've got big problems here. In fact, the structure underneath your kitchen floor is going to have to be replaced. It's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. And the family was at least had the peace of mind of knowing, well, we've got a termite bond and you guys have been our pest control company for 30 years. We're covered and you're going to repair and retreat, right? The technician said, no, we're not. Why not? Well, because here on page 7, subsection D, there's an exclusion that we have to find a live infestation of termites or we don't have to repair. And they were stunned. They didn't know what to do. Again, there's no such thing as consumer police. However, they called Trustdale and they told us their situation. And I said, you know what? Here's the bad news. That document is legal. They've excluded having to repair your problem. But I called the pest control company and I said, here's the deal. I know that you're within your legal rights to decline to repair this family's floor. But they are within their legal rights to tell a story, to tell their story on television. And all of your customers and all your potential customers are going to find out about your exclusion on page 7, subsection 4. And I said, so we can tell the story that you repaired their floor or we can tell the story that you declined to. Which do you choose? What do you think the pest control company did? They fixed the floor because it was the right thing to do. Right thing to do. Yes, sir.
I got a question. Reference on your site, anything that deal with car dealerships? I'm about to purchase a car in about 30 days. I hate dealing with car dealerships. So is there like when you purchase a home, you get a buy a broker. Can I get a buy a broker to go to a car dealership?
You can do that, but there's an easier way to do it. I suggest that you do all of your shopping online. Take a look at the make and model that you're interested in. Find somebody that you know that has one, test drive it. You can negotiate 100% online. I would never go to a car dealer lot before I've done all my homework. Make up a phony email address that you don't mind getting bombarded because you don't ever have to look at it. Never give them your real email address. And then let that dealership know that you're also negotiating with a couple of other dealerships that have the same make and model, and allow them to compete against each other. A magical thing happens. You wind up getting the dealership that wants your business more than the other dealerships. Don't walk into that dealership until you have a firm price on your email, and you walk in and go to a credit union and get pre-approved. If it's a used car, get pre-approved, or know exactly what the credit offerings are of that dealership if it's a new car. Don't go in not knowing the rules of the game and how to proceed. And you can hire a broker. It's a good idea too, because they're professionals at buying cars. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
On warranties. So a lot of things have warranties. For example, tires, which I had a frustration recently with one of the tire companies that I bought. One of my tires, just one, not all of them, was worn down lower than, say, the others. But I had documentation on all the stuff that you should have, you know, alignments, rotations, all that stuff. I went to the company and they said, well, read our warranty. It says we're only going to give you this. And I said, you must be kidding me when 3 of my other tires don't. So then I went to the manufacturer who kept pushing me back. So it was a give and take to eventually where I wore, I think, them down so much.
Good for you.
They were just, okay. I brought it in and he didn't say anything. They ordered the tires, good to go. But I mean, in retrospect, if you have those kind of problems, is there something on the website or things when you look at these warranties that I could have done better without having to? Because that's going to wear a consumer down. We get tired of that, and eventually you give up and just buy the tire the way they want.
As difficult as it is, I'm going to recommend that you read the warranty. Like I said earlier, most people see the word warranty and they just think they're covered. But most tire warranties are prorated. So they're only going to give you what they claim it's worth after so many miles have been applied to that tire. But you did a smart thing. You were a squeaky wheel. The internet is a scary place. I've got a good buddy that says the internet has created thousands of new mountain ranges, but we have no mountain guides. So Trustdale is a mountain guide for the internet and for purchasing online. The beauty of it is that it gives you social media. Companies, legitimate companies, are petrified of what you're going to say about them. And so use social media to say, I feel as though this is unfair. Another thing to be careful of is be careful about signing a contract that requires you to go by the company's mediation and arbitration and you agree not to sue the company. That's a slippery slope, because if you agree, if you sign your rights away to sue the company, it's my experience that the industry controls that warranty, and it's very, very rare that a consumer is made whole if they sign away their ability to sue. Yes, ma'am.
So I have 2 questions. Have you had any clients complain about like these grand vacation deals where, I mean, they literally want you to pay them like $30,000, $50,000 to purchase a deed for a condo somewhere? And I had one of those situations happen to me. Of course, I said no, but you know, I was actually doing research while I'm sitting there with the salesperson trying to get me to sign up for this. And all the reviews were just horrible.
Yeah.
And then my second question is, so I signed up with AT&T, and somehow these scammers got my information. They had the AT&T, you know, ringtone and everything. They called me like, we've got this deal for you. And this is probably the first time I've ever gotten scammed. It sounded too good to be true. I ignored them for about 6 months. And I was like, well, how do you have all of my information? Okay, this must be legit, you know? And it wasn't. It was one of those situations where they wanted you to get a gift card from like eBay or Amazon. And as soon as I gave them the code, I realized that it wasn't legit.
Ouch.
I called AT&T and they said that they had been made aware of it like a couple years ago, and they sent out some brochures or flyers to, or communications to customers, but then they stopped doing it because they said people weren't reading it. And I'm like, well, I'm a new customer. You never sent that to me. And I complained and I complained and I complained. And so finally they were like, well, just call in to customer service and see if you can get like so much off until it equals up to that amount.
Two answers. First of all, if it's a timeshare, if it's a resort community, and you're under pressure to sign an agreement at that time, that's number one red flag. Never sign the agreement. If you're going to a destination to be pitched, some people can really withstand that pressure and they can get the freebie and walk out. It's really difficult to do that. But you know, I've dealt with dozens of people that have bought into resort communities and found out that it wasn't what they were promised. You know, timeshares, I don't like timeshares because you get 1 or 2 weeks a year, or maybe you get one of these deals where you get to travel the world and there are all these weeks available until you find out that the weeks are never available. And it's the off-season weeks that you have to settle for. You're in a situation where scammers are taking advantage of a legitimate company name. When you get an email from a company, first of all, take a look at the email address where it's coming from. If that email address doesn't look legitimate, doesn't say AT&T.com, but it says AT&T.net or AT&T.co, that's a red flag because you can click on it and see where it goes. I never answer a solicitation that comes to me straight up. I don't click on that solicitation and do business with that company. I'll back out, I'll find out what the legitimate path is to reach that company, and then I choose how to approach that company. And I say, I saw this offer, I want to see if it's legitimate and if it's still available. If it's legitimate and still available, they're going to know what you're talking about. If it's not legitimate, they're going to tell you, no ma'am, we don't do that. I get them all the time. I got a Hotmail account that's a throwaway account. I'm constantly getting offers from Wells Fargo, from Walmart, from Costco. It's all fake. You know, you've seen them, the $100 gift certificate, if you redeem it now. You know, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. If it does not sound reasonable, it's not reasonable. Yes, ma'am.
Two things that come to mind. The scammers now calling, saying, look in the Social Security office and things like that. They got my neighbors, and both of them are physicians.
Oh.
And they were that good. And then the other one is if a credit card company calls you and tells you that, oh, your account has been compromised or whatever, don't call the number they give them. Get your credit card, call the number on the back
Great
of the
advice.
credit card. And what they will usually say is, no, that's not the way that we handle it. Usually we'll send you something in writing. We don't call you.
The Social Security Administration, the IRS will never call you. They will write you a letter. That's the number one way you know that those two organizations, whether or not it's legitimate or not, don't accept a phone call from the Social Security Administration or the IRS. That's not the way they communicate. Another way that scammers get over on you, they'll take 6 months to get your Social Security number, and I'll tell you how. They'll call and they say, hey, we're from the pharmacy and we want to confirm that your prescription is accurate. We don't need your full information, just give us the first 3 numbers of your social. And you're like, okay, well that's safe because they only have the first 3 numbers of my social. So you say 218, okay? 4 months go by, you get another phone call, and the person says, hey, this is the bank, this is your local bank, and we're confirming funds for a blah, 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 and we need the middle 2 numbers of your Social Security. You've completely forgotten about what happened 4 months earlier. And you're like, okay, they just need the 2 middle digits of my social. These people are that dedicated to defrauding you. They've got so many ways to play the game. If you're not expecting the game, again, fast funds found. If it's unsolicited, it's happening to you, feel the emotion of and this is the other thing that I often tell. So many people get in trouble because they have this funny feeling in their stomach that I shouldn't do this. That person is giving me an opportunity and somebody is getting taken advantage of. And when you feel that, that's a real good, strong indicator that you shouldn't do it, because if you're feeling greedy, if you feel that little piece of greed, the person that's playing the game on you knows the game and they can get over on you. There's three questions that I get pretty much everywhere I go, and I apologize for not getting to this earlier, but I want to tell you the answers to the questions are yes, yes, and yes. The first question is Dale, is Monica Kaufman Pearson really that sweet? Is she that approachable and just that down to earth? And I say, yeah, Monica is the most unaffected, famous person I've ever met. So the answer is yes. The second question is, that Jovita Moore, is she as knowledgeable and seems to know everybody in Atlanta and just as bright and quick as she seems to be on TV? The answer is yes. But the third question I get more than any other question is Clark Howard really that cheap? The answer is yes. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
You talked about, I thought it was really clever, spend $200 to $400 to hire an attorney to take a look at it. Now, but how do you find an attorney that is trustworthy? Yeah,
well, that's a good question. First of all, LegalZoom offers that opportunity. You can go to LegalZoom and you can get a general practitioner to answer your question, and they will actually say, send us your contract, and for a fee, we will read the contract and we will identify the elements of the contract and let you know. It's a really scary thing when I get a contract and I don't understand it. You know, that's a warning sign that I'm in over my head and I need to do more homework. Anybody else? You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Those are great questions. And I think are we going to do a raffle?
We're going to do it with your girlfriend.
All right. Do y'all trust me?
We trust you.
Okay. Oh, now I have to read it. 492-6046. 492-6046.
Mine. No. Did you fall for that? Is it yours?
No. You said
Okay, you gonna draw another?
You better draw another because
Okay.
somebody did have to leave.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Here we go. Drum roll. 492-60.
Oh.
3? Oh, that's awful.
37.
492-6037.
That's me.
Yay! Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, there are books for sale, and Dale will be sitting over here. He's happy to meet you and sign your book. They will make great Christmas presents. Help me thank him for coming to Gwinnett.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'd love to meet y'all personally.